time we turn that pancake into a full stack, okay? Hey everyone, my name is Iso. If you're new here, I'm on a body recomposition journey right now. So building glutes, gaining healthy weight, doing everything without all the extremes. Yeah, if that sounds like you, then you've come to the right place. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, all of that stuff. And yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into these glutes, okay? So just to give a little bit of a background, I've been on my fitness journey for about 8 years now, right? And you know, this is a lifestyle. We're not gonna stop. It's gonna keep on going for another 8+ years. I grew up naturally slim, so I've been tiny since I was a baby. Growing up, I was also tiny. I was underweight for my height. I am 5'10", so I was a little gal, literally like this. My goal has always been to put on more weight, healthy weight, of course, and grow my glutes, especially because I had a pancake, all right, and I wanted a full stack. And we got that full stack, as you can see, okay? We did good first, though. Yeah, yes, it did take time to get to where I am today, but if I knew all of the information that I knew back then, I'm pretty sure I would have been caked up a whole lot quicker. So here I am about to give you guys all the tips, all the real, and how to gain your glutes without building too much of your thigh. Even though the glutes and legs should be matching, y'all, okay? They need to match. But I'm here to give my girlies the real on how to specifically gain your glutes. So yeah, when I first started, you know, my journey, I thought, you know, just lift heavy. Just lift heavy weights. Whether it's with squats, leg press, lunges, anything, lift heavy, and that's what's going to grow your glutes. Wrong. That is not how you should start out. You should not just start out with heavy weights, right? We gotta obviously gradually work up to that weight. And also exercises like squats, yes, they do target a bit of your glutes, but they are more quad dominant. And I'm talking about if you're doing like neutral stance squats, those target more of your quads than your glutes. So while I was doing all those squats back then, I'm thinking, yeah, this is what's really working my glutes. No, they were really building my quads, aka my thighs. And I didn't have the knowledge that I did now. I was just doing exercises that I know, like just building my lower body in general, but my main focus was my glutes. So it wasn't until a while until I started to really see changes in my glutes, because I knew by then what exercises really targets there and what grows that area. So yes, it's fine to do squats. Squats should still be a part of your leg day for sure. However, if your goal is specifically to gain your glutes, I wouldn't just start off with doing heavy squats. And if you are going to do squats and you want to target more of your glutes, your foot stance matters. So I would do more of a sumo stance. So your feet wider than neutral and have your toes slightly pointed out. This is actually an exercise that's part of my glute days every week. So holding the weights in a downward position rather than upwards in like a goblet position, that is what's going to target your glutes when it comes to a certain kind of squat. And any kind of hinge, you're also going to get more glute activation. So if you're doing an upright squat, that position is more front focused, right? However, if you're hinged forward, it's more posterior focused. So you're targeting more of your glutes and your hamstrings when you're doing that kind of exercise. So when it comes to squats, yes, still do them, but I will switch up the way that you're doing them, and also don't lift as heavy. Okay, we're gonna get into rep ranges and all that in a bit, but that's where I wanted to start out, because I know I was doing squats a whole lot, and my tall ass, yeah, like I said, I'm 5'10", and I'm majority legs. So I have to be careful. Especially if I want to just target my glutes, like I need to be careful, because since I'm all leg, like if I want the right muscle to be working, I need to do it properly. Right, so I'm giving y'all that tip. If you're gonna do squats, do them. They are great for your lower body. However, they do target more of your quads. And if you want to target more of your glutes, switch up your feet positioning and hinge slightly forward. Now, let's talk about the exercises that do help grow your glutes. Number one, and this is my favorite. This has always been my favorite. If you watch my videos, you already know. Hip thrusts. Hip thrust. That is what's gonna get you the full stack, okay? That's what's gonna get you from pancake to full stack. This exercise, if it's not in your routine, what are we doing, sister? What are we doing? This needs to be in your routine weekly, not just once, twice a week. Yes, twice. What I do for my clients, especially my beginner clients, and they're looking to grow their glutes, do that exercise more than once a week. If you want something to grow, the more you do it, the better, correct? So if you're only doing hip thrusts once a week, it's gonna be a slower process for you. If that's really your goal, is to grow your glutes, I was advised starting out doing hip thrusts at least twice a week. And I'm not saying do it Monday, Tuesday. Obviously you want to spread it out so that, you know, give your muscles enough time to rest, because we don't want to overtrain, and you got to listen to your body as always, right? So I would say if you're going to do hip thrusts on Monday, come back and do hip thrusts again on Wednesday or Thursday. Your body should be fine by then to do hip thrusts because you haven't worked that area yet, right? So hip thrust, number one. And there's so many variations of hip thrusts, and we don't need to get into all of that right now. I love all of them. But if you're just starting out, do the standard hip thrust, regular. I always recommend like a 10 to 12 rep range. When it comes to building glutes, like you don't necessarily need to lift super, super heavy. I go for a higher rep range when I'm working my glutes because we want that pump. Hypertrophy means building muscle, and that typically the rep range for that is from 8 to 12 reps. So I stick to the higher end, around 10 to 12 reps when it comes to like glute exercises. So that is something that you should stick with as well. If you're going for strength purposes and you just want to see how strong you are, then hell yeah, go for it. Do like 4 to 6 reps or even lower. You know what I'm saying? But if you're really trying to build, a higher rep range is what's going to get you to that goal. So yes, hip thrust, that's one of them. Another exercise, RDLs, right? Those are called Romanian deadlifts. Not your conventional deadlift. There's 2 different kinds. I see a lot of people making this mistake. So Romanian deadlift is when you're hinging at the hips and you're stopping right below the knee. It's less range of motion compared to a conventional deadlift where you're going all the way down to the ground. This one, you're just stopping right below the knee. That's where you get more glute activation. So this is another staple exercise that's in my workouts every single week, RDLs. They also do target your hamstrings. A lot of these exercises too, don't get me wrong, it's a lower body exercise, right? So it's going to target other muscles, not just mainly your glutes. They still work other muscles. However, there's lower body exercises that like mainly target your quads and a little bit of your glutes, but the main muscle working is your quads. Same with glute exercises. Exercises that mainly target your glutes, but are also working your hamstrings. And that is what RDLs are for. With these, I stick to like about 8 to 10 reps. You could go for the high end, 10 to 12. Again, like I said, for hypertrophy, 8 to 12. That's the range that you want to stick to. Next, we got Bulgarian split squats. Everyone's favorite exercise, right? That's your favorite? I know. It's like, no, I fucking hate them too, okay? They suck, but they work wonders for the glutes. And I'm talking about glute-focused Bulgarian split squats. Yes, there is a Bulgarian split squat version that targets more of your quads than your glutes. The positioning matters. For a lot of these exercises, like I said, there's a lot of exercises that work different muscles, but it's the way you position. It could be your feet positioning. It could be your body positioning. Maybe you have to hinge a bit forward more, you know? So Bulgarian split squats, this is a tricky one. You really have to pay attention when you're doing these because you could end up targeting more of your quads rather than your glutes if your positioning is not right. So if you want to target more of your glutes for this exercise, what you're going to do again, hinge forward, right? Hinge forward, still keep your core engaged and locked in, right? But with that hinge, you get more of a glute activation as opposed to, like I said, a before upright position, you're getting more of a quad. All right. I'm giving y'all all the tea. Okay? All the exercises. Next, cable kickbacks. Yes. This is a lovely exercise. This, for sure, mainly glutes focus. When I do, like, honestly, I don't even feel like they really target any other muscle. This is strictly ass. Okay? Strictly ass cheeks is what it's targeting. Some cable kickbacks. And what I love is me a cable kickback with a bench. So you're laying down on the bench. I'll show a little clip here. You're laying down on the bench. It just provides more stability and really focuses on the glute. Because when you're doing the standing one, don't get me wrong, the standing cable kickbacks, there's nothing wrong with that. But you really have to make sure you're positioned yourself right so you feel that muscle working. Sometimes people's legs are just straight up. For me, my taller girlies, you need a slight bend in that knee when you're doing the cable kickbacks if you're doing the standing position, so that you're focusing more on your glute and not your quad. So what I suggest is using the bench because it doesn't matter if you're tall or short, you will feel strictly glutes with that bench. If you don't have that set up in your gym, just do the standing one. But like I said, form matters in any exercise, right? Form matters. If your form is wrong, you're not doing the exercise properly, right? So form matters for any exercise. If you want to target a certain muscle, your form needs to be on point. So yeah, when you're doing cable kickbacks, if you are starting to feel it more in your quad, you might have to slightly bend your knee more. You might have to kick your leg up higher. Maybe your leg is not hitting that 90-degree angle once you're kicking back. All right, then another exercise we have are some abductions. So these are fine with the seated abduction machine that you have, and most gyms typically have this machine. What I like to do, again, hinge. All glute exercises, you gotta hinge. You gotta hinge. It's a hinge movement, right? When you're targeting glutes, it's a hinge. You're gonna feel that in your outer glutes a whole lot. This is also another exercise that's strictly ass cheeks, okay? I usually do these as a burnout, so I even do more than 12 reps for these. I usually do like 15 to 20 reps because I'm doing it as a burnout. And I typically keep it towards the end of my exercise because I want that pump. I want my cheeks to be like, let me stop. You know what I mean though? You know what I mean? So that's another exercise that you should definitely include in your workouts. So yeah, I just listed 5 main exercises that you need to include in your workouts if you're trying to gain your glutes. Again, there's so many different variations of each exercise that you can do to switch it up. We could get into so much with this, but like obviously if you're following a program should be at least 4 to 6 weeks, right? So you should be doing these exercises for that whole time period, each week. Yes, each week, and gradually increasing your weights in order to build. You got to increase, right? And that's what we call progressive overload. Honestly, there's other ways to progressive overload. It's not just by increasing your weights. It could be your rep range. It could be your tempo. It could be your sets. You know, there's a lot of different things, and that's a video for another day. When it comes to building your glutes, there are a lot of mistakes that I see people doing. And one thing is, again, doing quad dominant movements. So like I said, squats. They're fine. You should be doing squats. However, they are more of a quad dominant muscle group exercise. Also, another mistake I see people doing, ego lifting. Who are you in competition with? Sister, who are you competing with that you want to lift all that weight? No, because there's a point, like one of my goals back in the day was to hip thrust 500 pounds, which I've done. That was just to see, I just wanted to see what my max was. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just wanted to see how strong I was. And that's why I did that. But I know that's not what's gonna get me to grow my glutes. I'm not gonna be hip thrusting 500 pounds each time. You know what I'm saying? You're not competing with anybody. You do not need to lift super heavy when it comes to growing your glutes, okay? Remember your rep range. You're doing 8 to 12 reps around that range when it comes to these exercises, right? Why would you lift such a heavy weight for that long period? You know? If you're doing 8 to 12 reps, that's a lot of reps. That takes a lot of work. There's no need to lift super heavy when it comes to that. If you're really feeling like it's super heavy at like the second and third rep and you still have 6 more reps to go, it's too heavy. You're ego lifting at that point. Drop the weight, control it, really feel the muscle working. And that leads into the next mistake that I see people making, having no mind to muscle connection. If you're just moving weight and not controlling it, your glutes are not going to respond. Slow it down. Again, who are you competing with? Why are you rushing? You should never rush your movements. Take your time. Really feel the muscle working. If there's no mind to muscle connection and you're just doing the exercise, you don't know what muscle you just worked. You could have been working your quads this whole time. Meanwhile, it's a glute workout. So take your time, control it. Feel the movement. You should be feeling your glute muscle working. I feel like a lot of people just rush their exercises and they wonder why they're not feeling it in the muscle that they thought that they were working. It's because you rushed it and you're not paying attention to that muscle. Now let's talk about frequency. How many times a week should I be training my glutes if I'm trying to grow them? Now, what I suggest, if you're a beginner, start out with just twice a week, because your body is still adapting to those exercises. These are movements that you haven't done before, and you need to give yourself time for your body to adjust, because that first week is going to be brutal, right? Even if you're starting a new program, that first week is always rough, I promise you. So take your time. I would start out with just twice a week, and then once your body's adapted, if you're more advanced, do it 3 times a week. I train legs 3 times a week, but the way I have my split is one day is more quad focused, one day is like glute and hamstrings, and another day is just strictly like glutes. So those are my 3 leg day splits currently for throughout the week. So definitely advise training it 2 to 3 times a week, twice if you're a beginner, and then once you get more adapted, increase it to 3 times a week. And yeah, I wouldn't do it more than 3 times a week because there's only so many exercises you can do, you know what I'm saying? And you don't want to overtrain. You don't want to stress your muscles out, and we don't want to get injured. So 2 to 3 times a week is good enough if you're looking to grow your glutes. Last but not least, I had to save the best for last, y'all. You gotta eat. You have to eat, guys. Them 1 to 2 meals a day, it's not gonna work, sister. You have to eat more than that. This is like a video for another day because I could really get down into the gritty with nutrition. But what I'm gonna say is you need to eat, guys. I'm talking 3 to 4 meals a day, 2 snacks in between. If you're trying to build that booty, you gotta eat. A lot of us aren't eating enough protein. It's hard, I know. But again, like this is what I feel like most people like mistake is like they're trying to rush the results. It takes time. It takes time to really get to your goal. You gotta figure out how it works for you. You gotta figure your own shit out. You gotta figure your own schedule out. What am I even capable of doing? Am I even capable of doing 2 to 3 glute exercises a week with my schedule? You might not be capable. You might not even be capable of doing just that alone. You gotta gradually like ease into it, okay? Find out what works best for you. But eating is important, and just know it's going to take time. Like let's say you're weighing 150 right now, you should be having about 150 grams of protein, right? You should be having your body weight in protein. Some of us are barely even getting 100 grams of protein in. What I would do if I was just starting out is at least try to get 100 in a day first and then work my way up from there. Can't go from 0 to 100 real quick. This is all gradual. This is a lifestyle. You're not gonna get there in a week, 2 weeks, none of that. It takes time, but you gotta fuel your body. In any goal, you gotta fuel your body. Make sure you're eating, track your macros. Again, this is a video, I could go real in depth with this, but we're gonna have to save that for another day. But you gotta eat, guys. More of the story, point blank, you got to eat. So yeah, I think I covered everything when it comes to glute growth. I wanna see all my ladies caked up this year. We're not doing no more pancakes. We're getting the full stack, right? We're not gonna be here. We gonna be here, caked up. That is the goal. All right, I just want you guys to be realistic. Like I said, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not gonna happen in a month. You might not see any kind of change in a month. This takes time. Growth takes time. And you need to be patient with yourself. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace, okay? You got this, I'm here with you. Don't worry, we're gonna grow those glutes, okay? Like, who doesn't want a booty? Like, come on, we gotta have something. Something there. Something gotta be there to grab. Okay, we gotta be able to grab something. You're gonna get those glutes, sister. Just follow all of my tips. I got you. If you like this video, please like, save, comment, share, all the stuff. Subscribe, you know what to do. I think next week I'm gonna talk more about nutrition and get down into the gritty of that. Give y'all some tips when it comes to gaining healthy weight, because that was my goal and I was able to do that successfully, and I'm here to share that with you guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. Comment below any other tips that you want from me. I'm here to spread all my knowledge. I've been in this game for 8 years now, and yeah, I think I know what I'm talking about. All right, love you guys. See ya.